That's incredible. She could only marvel at what had obviously once been a tree trunk, now flawlessly smooth thanks to the ravages of the sea, and skillfully carved into a giant furl of coral. A family of tiny seahorses had been worked into the near side. Towering above her, the feather-like carving at the top of the sculpture almost brushed the ceiling. How on earth did you get that in here, let alone work on it in the first place? It's huge. Jules chuckled. With difficulty and a lot of help. What sort of tree was it? Birch? He ran a finger along what would have been a branch but was now a curl of coral. I can't imagine anyone will ever want to buy it. Wouldn't you be sorry to part with it? Not commenting on its £3,000 price tag, Laura moved a few inches to her left and drew in a delighted breath. Look at these fish! Beaming, Jules said, The more you look, the more you see. It's so hard not to touch. Then please do touch. I think sculpture is made to be touched and you won't do it any harm. As Lauren relished the sensation between her fingertips, she suddenly understood and exclaimed, This is a perfect sculpture for this shop because the wood was washed up here. Exactly. That's why I named it All at Sea. Everything in here, the glass and the driftwood, came in off the Dorset coast. So the glass is all from washed-in bottles or glass waste? Absolutely. This place isn't nicknamed Sea Glass Cove for nothing. Is it? Lauren's eyebrows rose. I haven't heard that before. There was a Victorian bottling plant 10 miles along the coast from here. It closed in the 60s. For decades they threw their waste into the sea. Most of the bottles are broken by the time they reach the shore. I use the shards to make the jewellery you see in my shop. Is that why the sand in the cove sometimes looks as if it shines blue or green? That's it. Minute, sea-smoothed slivers of glass have mixed with the sand. Sometimes they wash up onto the nearby bay as well. But generally the tide makes sure it all gets caught in the cove. And the planks you're using as shelves, they washed up on the shore too? Yep. While some of the shelves are ship's planks, mostly they're just branches washed in on the tide from goodness knows where. Trying not to be cross about the lack of respect being shown to the ships that had met a terrible end, and unable to deny how well they were being looked after, Lauren asked, You didn't think to report them to Historic England or the Marine Heritage Trust? Why would I do that? Jules dragged a hand through a straggle of hair. Because they're of historical significance. Lauren tapped the edge of the closest shelf. Then what better place than this to put them to good use? Because you sell goods made of the sea's bounty? No. Jules pointed to the back of the shop. Because this shop is affiliated with the local museum. Lauren's jaw dropped open. Seriously? What museum? Where? Walk this way. Slipping his bandana into place, Jules strolled through the shop. Feeling entirely wrong-footed, Lauren found herself glancing back at the ship's plank shelves. The HMS Formidable went down on New Year's Day in 1915. It did. Jules stopped as they reached the right side of the shop, beyond 2 freestanding units of stunning necklaces, rings and earrings. Over 500 crew members lost their lives that day, a criminal waste, as if war itself wasn't cruel enough. His tone lightened as he added, Spawned the idea for Lassie, of course. Lassie? Lauren was beginning to feel out of her depth. Jules grinned wider. Way before your time, and mine, I hasten to add. Lassie was a dog and the star of a TV show. And a movie. More than one, maybe, I'm not sure. Anyway, the idea for the franchise was inspired by a collie called Lassie, who found one of the sailors from the Formidable who'd been washed onto the sands at Lyme Bay. She, Lassie, licked his face until he came round, saved his life. Then, wham, Hollywood called, and a legend was born. Lauren glanced at Jules, trying to work out if he was joking or not. Are you serious? It's what my parents told me.